We're streaming. Original sound on. Spotlight on. Music on. And we're ready to go. So we're going to start seated for a little bit of breathing. Working on our forward back splits, support. We're going to definitely do a lot of hip openers today. Welcome. Got a buddy? Well, let's start with finding our center, settling into our breath. When you're ready, start to breathe with your arms rising up the sides as you inhale. Exhaling down the center. You know what this looks like if you've worked with me before, so let your practice continue with closed eyes until you're ready to open them. Roll it down to the front, spread it out. Inhale, rising up. Exhaling over to your right with a long body first. So just extend your fingertips far away from that hip. That hip is sinking into the ground. Press down into the hip and let that support action of pressing into the ground give you a longer stretch through your arm and side body. Inhale over to the other side. Reach, 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 and support down, rooting down through the right hip. Inhaling up. Lift your arms forward and your heart long back. Tuck your chin just a little bit so the back of your neck remains long. And feel how your hip flexors are holding on and lifting your legs up with you. I'd like you to take a big breath in and exhale and flop those hip flexors out and see if you can let your abdominal wall lift up the chest rather than clinging with your hip flexors. So use your abs, not your hips. Good. Big breath in, arms up and over. Curve the body, switch your legs. And big breath in. Float down to the front, friends. Sway side to side, all the way side to side, dropping down in the middle. Exhale, drop down in the middle. Inhale, open to the side. Exhale, drop down to the middle. Inhale, all the way over, open. We're gonna make it a little bit bigger. Up and over. Big circle with the torso. And reverse direction. Inhaling up, drop the shoulders and over. Root those hips down into the earth. And open both arms, walk your hands back. And just pull your shoulder blades down and together, really opening up the chest, but leave your hips on the floor for the moment. Leave your chest, your chin down, so you're making 16 chins, smushing that chin into the chest, pulling the shoulder blades back, and we're just gonna lean side to side. And now you can let your shoulders rise up and catch your neck. And turn to the side, and I'm going to take my head and tilt one ear towards one shoulder at a time. So shoulders are holding my neck, and I'm tilting my neck and massaging the back of my neck with my shoulder blades. And then nod chin to chest, come up. Take both knees, hug, and drop your head forward, lengthening the neck. So feel like someone's grabbing the base of your skull and lengthening it out away from you. Big neck. Good. Go ahead and take a moment to rock up onto your feet. And with your legs and thighs together in this squat position, look down and make sure that your heels are close together underneath your two sits bones there. And you're gently pulling your thighs towards one another, so you're centering, but then also feel yourself like a big spring, all coiled up and ready to bounce deep into the floor. And feel that juiciness as you relax into this calf, foot, and even toe stretch. If you notice your toes are kind of crunkled up there in the front, crinkled up together, take this time to spread the toes out nice and long so they get also a full extension in this stretch. Good, good, good. Yeah, so toes are straight forward. Notice if they do something silly. And then gently let your heels start to drop. Bent legs as your head falls forward and forward fold. Great big breath in and out. Walk your hands a little bit forward. Walk through those legs. And rock your weight into your hands, rotating the elbows back. Pressing away, let your heels take the weight and rotate forward. And finally, drop your hips, bend those knees, and roll on up to standing. Before we go on today, we're really going to think a lot about balance. So let yourself close your eyes and visualize the shape of your footprints on the floor, those 2 feet next to each other, with your toes extended long. And let your sensations of the foot on the floor give you some feedback about where your weight tends to lie. When you rolled up, did you sort of accidentally lean more of your weight to your right foot or your left foot? Many of us have that habit, and just notice it with acceptance. And then start to shift. Even on both feet. Breathing deeply. Okay, there's our music. And let your eyes open and your arms come up wide. And rock your weight just a couple inches forward so the heels float off the ground. And we're going to keep those heels floating off the ground. Use our centering to draw our legs together. And let your tailbone then shift backwards. And rock into your heels and big breath up. Again, rocking forward. Squeeze those thighs together. Shift your weight into your tailbone. Heels are still hovering off the ground. And then let your heels just touch and really sit down into that awkward pose. Breathe with me there. How's that awkward chair? Did you notice whether your tailbone is starting to flay out as you stand there? And can you draw your abdomen in and sit down into it some more? A little bit deeper. I know you've been there. You've been there. Okay, press up. Good breath in. Exhale, hands together in front of the chest. Inhale, reach it up. Open heart. Big breath in. Lean forward, fold. Inhale, flat back, arms back. Pinch those shoulder blades together so your arms float just above your torso. Feel the weight here just in front of the center of your feet, so a little bit of lift through those heels for a moment. Just a breath. Exhale down. We're going to send right foot back to high lunge today, and I want you to just take your time rocking back and forth to find a truly delicious high lunge today. So we're going to get slowly into it. This is a great time to check your forward knee alignment. Remember, second toe, center of your knee are pointing in the same direction at all times. And we want that knee to end up over the ankle joint. All right, if you're feeling like you got your weight in both feet, center, press that floor. Press the floor to rise up. Back might not have come up with you. See if you can lift through the pelvis, shoulders back, and then extend through that back leg, pressing firmly into the earth. Arms float up, find your breath. Good, reach forward, flat back. Let your hands drip down, big breath in. Exhale, drop your hips a little lower. Inhale, we're going to lift those hips back up and step back for Chaturanga Vinyasa. Find that downward dog. Walk it. Good. Now hold your downward dog. Press the floor with both hands so you're supporting through the arms. We're not just sort of putting two straight sticks into the ground, but instead we're thinking about being live, energetic, fluid springs through the arms. You can bend a little bit in the elbows and feel that pressure change. And then we're going to take right leg up, keeping it square for today. I think a square three-legged dog is much more challenging for me personally. Exhale, tuck the knee in, curve the body, pendulum leg. Inhale up, exhale, tuck. Shifting your weight forward and back. And step through. Let's go ahead and turn your left leg out. So we're going to go to up in warrior one here. Re-square your hips, friends. Rising up. Lifting up through your torso. Open those wings. Step it together. Inhale, up, back. Shoulder blades engaged together. And roll it back up. Flowing through a squat and up and arch. And when I say shoulder blades are pinching back together, what I'm really talking about here is getting that sense of engaging your rhomboids. If you know what your shoulder and upper back anatomy is like. A lot of us don't engage our rhomboids, and that lets our shoulders rise up to our jaw. So we want to pull those shoulder blades down and towards the spine using our rhomboids. Soften to your forward fold, please. Inhale, float it up, flat back. Feel those rhomboids. Exhale down. Left foot's going to step back to high lunge, so parallel legs. Take your time rocking into it. It might be that you really notice your back legs like, ooh, the calf, or golly, my foot is really tight today. Maybe your front hip doesn't want to crease all the way against your body just yet. So we're going to massage those things into action with a soft and steady rock. When you're ready, center those thighs, push into the ground, and remember to use those glutes to bring your whole pelvis back up. Yeah, there's a big temptation to rise from the waist here and leave your booty back, but that's not fully into the pose. We want our pelvis to be back to vertical. That usually means the back leg's gonna bend a little bit. So better that, working on this strength and then lengthening the back leg. All right, big breath in. Feel your square. Let those adjustments happen with fluidity. Feel the springiness of your thighs. And then lift long into your flat back. Breathe. Rhomboids engage. Arms down. Chaturanga Vinyasa, one exhale all the way down. Go ahead and step wide as your mat. I'm going to take your right arm through and grab the opposite ankle. And I'm going to twist my hips and look underneath that armpit. Find your breath. That means, of course, that your left arm is doing a lot of work. Switching hands. Make sure you set up this arm with a shoulder rolled back, elbow rolled in before you take weight on it, so that it's prepared to support you. Pressing into those hands. Let your hips spiral, looking underneath your armpit, supporting through the hands. So grip the mat with a big full wide hand. Coming back center. Bring it back to our narrow stance, our regular downward dog. So legs together, arms as wide as our shoulders, and we're gonna lift left leg up. Square, please. Feel that square, fight for that square. Clinging to your center line, pushing into your hands, so you're pushing the mat away. All right, inhale. Exhale, leg swings through. Inhale, tuck forward. Exhale, leg swings back. Inhale, up. Pendulum leg with a tuck and rock in the body. And step it through to warrior one. Align that front leg and the hip, and then turn your back leg out. Again, lifting up from the base of the spine, the pelvis comes with you. Shoulder blades anchor down with the rhomboids. Reaching through that front knee. Strong legs pushing into the earth. Open it out. Stepping together. Forward fold, up to flat back. Shift onto the balls of the feet. Exhale, settle it back down, hips bent. Inhale, come back up. Let's have some fun. Shift your hips side to side after all that. And I'm gonna circle my ankles here. Circle them in. Okay, we're gonna take a moment of standing and balancing poses. And I just want to remind everybody that we tend to grab the floor with our foot when we're really trying hard to balance. You know what I mean? Like gripping with your toes. That's really not helpful. You want to feel when you're supporting through the foot that you're pushing down and extending the foot into the ground rather than trying to clutch it and pull it in, yeah? So think about, we often say rooting down with your foot. Think about growing roots out through the bottom of your foot. That's part of that support feeling. Real balance is not happening so much in your foot and ankle. Those are tiny little muscles. It's happening by bringing the weight of your core over the foot, and that happens in the hips, yeah? So we're gonna shift our weight. Let's go ahead and shift our weight onto our right leg first. And we're gonna do these balances later after we've done a deep stretch, but let's do the structural part first. I'm going to lengthen through this standing leg. So let's just leave a toe on the ground and bend and stretch. And if you want to hold on to a wall or a chair, that's totally fine. But I'm bending and straightening that leg just so that I can watch this knee center over that second toe, the pointer finger toe. And that's when we're on 2 feet, that location of our knee and toe is going to be underneath our hip bone. When we go on 1 foot, we want our center line of our torso, our belly button, our pubis, our nose and skull. All of that center line is going to shift over, which means your hip bone is going to go out to the side a little bit, and we're trying to get belly button over the knee, over the toe. So it does feel like you push out just a little bit. All right. Feel how there's a little bit of room between, I'm going to move my leg so you can see the profile a little better. We don't want to be locked out, so you don't want to feel a pressure in that knee or in the back of the knee, but you do want to be fully straightened. Go ahead and bring your other knee forward and then back. And we were talking about doing our pendulum or our warrior 3 with the leg not turned out. So same thing is going to be here. I'm going to keep that knee straight to the center line. So I'm centering, but my hips are over, about 2 inches for me over to be on that foot. And I'm going to lengthen through that leg. Lengthen. Lengthen. If you have a strap, like if this is maximal stretch for you back here, and you have some baggy pants, you can grab your baggy pants, or if you have a strap, you can hold that foot with a strap. If you want to get a little more exercise, heart rate wise out of that, you can just hold your weight up with your hamstrings. It's strengthening that way. Okay. Now, I'm going to let you cheat. Bring your knee forward to grab your ankle or your pants or your strap. Recenter. Push your thigh back and push the ground away. And let's re-square these hips. Now, don't try and get huge just now. We're going to come back to this after more stretching. I want you to feel the effort of squaring, taking that knee back. Good. Release it. Let's try the other side. Now, if you felt tired here, great. If you felt like your foot was cramping, that's what we were talking about earlier. Soft foot, strong but soft, yeah? So first feel what it feels like to move from belly over the center of your feet, both feet, to belly over the center of your standing leg. You can leave that toe on the ground if that's where you're at today. You can hold on to something if that's where you're at today. If you can find your foot, your pants, or a strap, you can do that. But still thinking, squaring those hips. And support through the standing leg. Knee and toe straight forward. A lot of us tend to put this foot down a little bit wider and then bend the knee forward. And that would be knee and toe in 2 different directions. That's not healthy for your knee. So make sure you're really squared. All right, last one. Taking that thigh a little further back. Notice how the thigh wants to bring your hips with it, keeping it square. All right, release. Okay, let's go ahead and come to the front of your mat. We're going to take a moment here and just lift that leg up and back. So we're definitely hot in the hip flexors here. Good, and we're going to send that leg back to low lunge. And curl the body up So I'm lifting up in my core here, and then I'm going to drop the hips back down. And curl the body up, and take your weight back, and re-stretching that front leg. And this back foot, I'm tucking the toes under here. That's more comfortable for me today. Sometimes I prefer to point them, just depends. Listen to your body. But keep your hips square in this hamstring stretch, please. So that means you're going to be pulling the lead, the forward foot, hip back in space. Good. Flexing that big toe towards your skull, and inhale, lengthen through the spine. Find your breath. Exhale, everything bends to shift you back forward. We're going to inch your back knee back further. Good. All right, both hands down. We're going to lengthen and straighten your back leg. So this is an enormously long low lunge, right? Because it's really a low lunge with your knee down. But then I'm going to reach through that back leg, squeeze my thighs together, and push it back down to the floor. All right, we're going to take the same arm as thigh. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see a little better. Okay, I'm in my super low lunge. I'm going to put my arms inside this front leg, and I'm going to hug myself with front knee. Hug with front knee, hug with front knee, hug with front knee, hug with front knee. I'm using my inner thighs, and then I'm going to take this hip, and I'm going to send this hip back, just like when we were hugging the hamstring stretch, yeah? So I'm squeezing in with the left knee, and I'm pulling my left hip back to square. And if you want, you can drop down to your elbows, but you're still hugging that thigh and trying to square the hips. Find your breath. Big squeeze. Good, good, good. Walk it up. Straighten that leg again. And I'm going to go ahead and put my butt down on the floor, yeah? And I'm going to lean forward. Over your left leg. All right, bend that front leg and extend the back leg for pigeon. Big breath. Okay, friends, if you need to come up here, you can, or you can be wide, but we're going to circle the breath. So left knees forward. We're going to bring our right arm up and around in a big, great circle. Open that chest. Lifting the other arm up even for a moment to come back around and really drop down heavy into that earth. The wonder of this great big planet that's supporting you. Let yourself fall into it into the front. And then inhale. Rise up to the scars, and exhale. Really drop it down in the front. Release. Again. Now you can push your hips up. And drop it back down. Rise on up. Take that hand, it's the back leg hand, and pat yourself on the back. Good job. Can you use your abdominal wall, drawing it in to help you balance? And then I'm pushing my knees into the floor and drawing in to find my balance with no hands. And I'm going to take my left hand, forward leg, grab my shirt in behind. Or if you can, go ahead and go for a full cow face pose arm bind, which means I'm grabbing my fingertips behind myself. Exhale, drop forward into your pigeon, holding your arms in the arm lock. Good, release. Go ahead and take your back leg and bring it as close, heel as close. I'm going to turn a little bit. Heel as close to your bum as you can. And we're going to lean our hips back now, leaning away from that thigh. So one line from your knee through your hips, through your shoulders. And I'm going to press my hip slightly into the air, trying to open up this hip joint on the right leg. Rotating again for a different view. My pelvis is flat. I'm trying to get my knees to go to either side. And I'm going to open up here. All right, release that again. All right, we're still on the same leg front. What do your splits look like? I'm gonna give us a beginner split. Woo! Yeah? Try and get those legs apart. Notice my hips are definitely sideways. I'm way on my hip side. That's fine. Yeah? See what your splits look like. It looks so much more impressive in my camera than it actually is happening right here. I'm gonna turn the same shape to the side. Not very 180, and that's fine. Work where you are, yeah? As you get more flexible, you're gonna start to crawl those thighs apart and extend those legs some more and begin to roll your hips back to flat. Whew, tight today. Remember, we want the stretch to be in the hamstrings, maybe in this hip flexor. It should be uncomfortable, but not painful. No sharp pain, please. Big deep breath in your splits. Hanuman. Another modification for this, of course, I mean, we're on our hip. I am not in square splits right now. So we're on our side of our hip, I should clarify. Another option for getting into your splits is if you have multiple blocks or multiple pillows, you can sit on pillows to get a bit more square. Yeah? So what I mean by square is, for most of us, that means up. Turn, woo! Tight today is up, yeah? Quite far up today, yeah? All right, let's come out of it. We'll be back. Come onto your back. All right, so your left leg has been stretched out forward. I want you to just pedal in the air for a little bit. When you're ready, slide your feet onto the mat, one after the other. Slide them and slide them. And then take a moment here in Shavasana and feel the difference between your right and your left leg. You don't have to analyze it or anything, just experience what it feels like. All right, big breath in. Exhale, pull your belly button into your spine and tuck it up. And rise up to Navasana. Do you feel a difference in your hip flexors in this position? Lengthen. Push your butt into the floor. Drawing in your belly lock and your root lock. And bend. And let's come back to all fours. And downward dog. Walk that dog. We're gonna walk the legs to the hands. Come up to flat back. Sit back into your awkward chair as low as you can. Woo! If you fall, I'll be proud of you. Whee! Push the earth away. Push with that support. Get your hips all the way back underneath yourself to rise to your balls of your feet. Centering and pushing down into the earth. Good. Settle those heels. Melt down to forward fold. And now your right leg's going to come forward to a ginormous low lunge. Good job. And dropping the left knee down to earth. Finding your breath. Inhale, curve the body up Exhale, take back to the hamstring stretch for the right leg. Good. All right, we're going to shift back forward to that low lunge, deep low lunge. We're going to activate it by extending the back leg and softening, and extending and softening, and extending and softening, and extend and hold. Arms to the inside of that leg. Start to hug yourself with that leg. Hug it, hug it, hug it, hug it. If you'd like and you're ready, you can put your elbows down, but that's optional. Hug yourself with that leg. Try and pull this front leg's hip back in space to re-square. It's really hard to do both. I think I'm going to come up to sort of a bent arm level. I'm not quite feeling it square and hugging on my elbows today. So I'm going to come up a little bit so I can feel that square hug. Good. Soften that knee back down. And now rest into the elbows. Back again to your hamstring stretch, and remember, we're not leaving that hip up. We're going to take that hip back in space, back in space. Flexing the ankle so that the toe is reaching towards the head, and then we're going to radiate that spine out past the toe. My hands are supporting through the floor. I'm actively pushing. Good. We're going to shift forward and come down into our pigeon. And just enjoy your pigeon. Full release into your pigeon for some deep, deep breaths here. All right. Start to think about what it means to pull your thighs towards each other in this position. Yeah, that centering action of the thighs. Draw up through your root chakra. So you're pulling your pelvic floor up like there's a string pulling your organs inwards, and introducing that belly lock. Rise up to your hands. This might leave your lower back feeling quite a crunch here. Yeah? So that means we want that hip, that back hip, to open up some more. Yeah? So lifting through the core, thinking about opening that back hip. And we're going to soften the back knee. And I'm going to roll back away from it and lean out from that hip. So now my knee and my hip and my shoulder are kind of all in one line. I'll rotate again. Knee, hip, and shoulder. One line. And I'm trying to separate the hip bone from the thigh. Yeah, so think about that. Reach through it. Let your hips rock a little bit. Let's see if you can get opening right here between the thigh and the hip. It's usually quite tight there. All right, we're going to come back into that pigeon that we were in just before. And we're going to add the inhaling breath, circling. And really release it to the earth. Really let it go down with each exhale. If you're ready, you can push your hips up off the ground a little bit in this experience. And rise up and hold. Opening those thighs, separating the thighs, supporting through the hand. And let it back down. See if you can find that risen spot. And I'm going to take my forward knee hand and pat myself on the back. And release. Other arm and pat myself on the back. And grab hands or grab shirt behind you. What I mean by that is I'm either grabbing 2 points of my shirt behind myself, or I guess I could grab my braid, but I might tug on my neck there, so I won't do that. No, it's pretty tempting actually. It probably wouldn't be that bad of an idea. If you can grab your hands, great. If you're hypermobile in the shoulders, eventually one day advanced yogis grab their wrists. I think that's you know, bust up G. All right. Remember, pressing your legs into the floor is what is helping you stay upright here. So supporting into the ground with your legs helps you to balance and lift your torso. And then exhale forward into your pigeon pose, holding that arm bind if you can. Big breath. All right, release the arms. We're going to rock off the hips. So now I'm squaring my hips as much as I can. So my forward leg hip is no longer on the floor. I'm trying to square both hips. And I'm going to rock off them again. And I'm going to start to explore what it feels like to do the splits on this side. Woo! So walking your hips apart is the way to go here. I'm still quite far onto the side of my hip today, so I'm encouraging that. If you're quite flexible and you're working back towards centering your hips again, that's fine too. Remember, honoring your body. It's not the same every time you come back to this practice. Some days I can just do the splits, and this is not one of those days, guys. So I'm trying to really take it slow, to like edge up to my edge, soften the knee, let my body have time to re-relax. And it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're feeling like one day is really much harder than usual, because in my case, I know it's because I've been really trying to work on strengthening those muscles, and when we really build stronger muscle tissue and focus on building that muscle tissue, sometimes we forget that we also need to focus on lengthening that muscle tissue lest they shrink back up. And so I'm going to take that as a positive. Now I'm focusing on lengthening, but it's definitely a better approach to do both 3 times a week. Good way to have balance. All right, come on out of that, friends. Woo. Bring those legs together. Take it back to your back again. And this time, toes on the floor, just rock windshield wiper legs right, left. A couple times. And stretch down to Shavasana pose and feel again the difference, right and left hip. And you may feel even now as opposed to before when we'd only done one leg, but you also might not feel even now, and that's all right. I just encourage you to witness it, to know what your body's like right now. Get to know yourself. Hello, self. Who are we today? It's okay to embrace change. All right. It's going to be a bit crazy. Here we are. What we're going to work through today in this next flow is going to be up in the air and down on the ground. So it's going to be intense. Please respect your body. You might make it smaller, right? So I'm going to try to get my thighs as far and as close to splits as I can in a lot of these poses. But it's not necessary to push every single time because we're also working on balance, yeah? So anytime you feel like it's too much, I want you to just bring those thighs a little bit closer together and make sure that our balance is in line so we're respecting our joints, okay? We're going to try and get through King Dancer, Low Lunge, Pigeon, and Mermaid in a flow. Are you with me? Let's adventure. All right, guys. Coming up to the front of the mat, big breath in. And we're just going to take our hands down to Namaste. And I want you to hold those shoulders back. Boop. Yeah. And send your tailbone out behind you. Like a, I don't know, like what? Arching your back, like cow pose. Cow pose. And then I want you to bend those knees and curve. Flip your fingers underneath like cat pose. Big breath here, drawing in and up through your whole abdomen. Good. Now, taking your hands down behind you, grasp your hands, try and straighten those arms, and again, that cow pose feeling, really opening your chest. Open those ribs. Open the front of your shoulder sockets. Open your pectoral muscles, and then we're going to tip our head away. Tip your head away. Okay, release. Nice and low, friends. Awkward chair, there it is. Can you lift up your right leg, balanced on your left leg, and stretch it back? Go ahead and pass through a swan. Step back to low lunge. And we're going to bring both arms up, big swing. Drop your arms back towards your back foot. Bring your chest forward. Step back, Chaturanga Vinyasa. Inhale. Downward dog. Okay, for this downward dog, we're going to do a cross between a three-legged dog and a puppy to get back. Okay, so we're still working our right leg. Right leg's going to swing up. We're going to bend both legs, puppy, but with, it's a three-legged puppy. Extend it, bend it, extend it, bend it. When you're all out of air, hop your standing leg towards your hands. Boink. Good job. Extend it. Now use your glute, your butt muscle of the leg that's in the air, to squeeze that leg up higher. Good. That is your standing Hanuman. The more you drop your head forward, the more it's going to look like a splits. Lower that leg back together to forward fold. Drop your hips. Roll up slowly. Put your mic pack back in your shirt. Back to the front. Rise up to the balls of your feet. Excellent. Settle down. Big breath again. Feel that arch like the cow pose. Feel the curve like the cat. Feel the arch like the cow, and grab your arms, open your chest again. Shoulders down, your neck is long. Release. Standing on your right leg, left leg comes up. We're going to send it back and go through swan. Swan. So standing leg is bent, back leg is down. Bust up A, toe stays on the floor. B, just off. C, flat. D, center line. Swan. Step it back. Good. Big breath in. Low lunge, let that knee come down. Opening your hip. So you're really pressing that hip underneath. Good. Hands come down, step back, Chaturanga Vinyasa. Downward dog. All right. Left leg's coming up. Three-legged. Soften. Puppy. Three-legged puppy. Extend. Again, soften. Three-legged puppy. Extend. Three-legged dog. Soften. When you're out of breath, hop forward. All right. Extend into your Hanuman. It's okay to bend your front arms. It's okay to walk a little further forward to get your chest down. Use your left glute to really lift that leg higher. Squeeze that butt. Squeeze it, reach it, squeeze it, butt. Legs together. Good job. Soften the knees. Drop your hips. Arch up. Get your tail underneath you again. Back, front. Dropping down. Right leg's rising. Sending it back again. Step back, high lunge. Find your hands behind you. Pop that chest. Bend both knees to low lunge. Turn to the side so you can see a little better. Your tailbone might have been left behind you here. Please engage your abdominal wall and open those hips. If you can clasp your hands all the way, that's great. Chest is up, shoulders are dropped down behind you. Big stretch in the hip. Release those arms. We're going to bring their chest forward here. Change your front leg down to a pigeon with the knees. And lift up. All right, we're going to do king pigeon. That means I'm going to take this back knee to my hip. You may not be able to reach it. Don't worry. Grab your pants. Put a strap around it. If you can, grab it. I think it's easier to grab it sideways, pull it to its butt, and then re-straighten, okay? Let yourself lean forward. The more your body leans forward, the more room you're making in your hip that your hip doesn't have to do all the stretching. So while you're working towards it, your body can be quite far forward. All right, mermaids, fall towards your forward leg butt. Whoop. We were here earlier, yes? Go ahead and lift up. Go ahead and take this back leg arm, so this is my right, or your right, and curl in like this. And your other arm is going to lift up. Pat yourself on the back, looking to your left. Can you touch your back ankle here? Can you pull your ankle into your hip, look to your left, slouch. And now push into the earth and lengthen that torso and spiral. So I'm actively lifting and actively spiraling by pushing my knees down. My thighs are opening down into the earth. Support. Okay. There's bust up A. Great job. If you're anywhere near here and lifting, lengthening, and twisting your spine, you're doing awesome for bust up A. Good job. B, maybe you're all the way upright. C, maybe your heel is into your butt. D, rock onto your shin. Now, remember, bust up D is an optional one, so choose your own adventure. For D, I'm going to have my shin in one line. My other knee is going to go mostly behind it. And I'm going to rock up onto that shin and this knee. All right, D. No promises that I can do this one, you guys. This is D, yeah? Remember I said lift your torso up with your pelvis earlier when we were doing low lunge? I'm definitely pushing into my front foot for balance. I'm going to look in the direction of my front foot for balance. I'm going to try to balance and touch my back. And fall out of it. Whee! Next level, if you're there, the foot slides into the elbow and your hands grab. Not necessary. But let's try one more time of your version of the mermaid. Could be here. Yeah? Long body, long neck, long core. Could be experimenting with one hand in balance. Pushing into the floor, certainly. All right, release. Come on down. Back to your hands. Hanuman. I know, guys, we're getting tired. I feel you. Bring it back together. Woo! You got it. Rock it up slow. Take a joke. Take a break. Take a joke. I mean, like, take a break. Take a break. Let your body relax for a second before we go back into the next round. Almost done. Jiggle those legs out. Jiggle those wrists out. We're doing something hard today, so give yourself some credit. And if it doesn't go well, we just laugh and try again. That's all. Here we go. Open that chest. Fold it down. A left leg back. Low lunge. I'll bring it up. Good. Open those hands behind. You're going to press open your chest. I'm going to turn to the side. Don't leave your booty behind. Tuck it underneath. Travel forward with your pubis bone and your tailbone. Find your breath. Strong breath, long neck. Good. Release. Forward. Good. Pigeon with your front foot. Take a breath up. Settle it down. Rock your hips all the way open. Check in with your leg. Now comment about feeling it in your knee. It's really tempting and easy to pull this heel in to the outside of the hip. Yeah, but that's putting a lot of torque on my knee. I'd rather it not get so close, but stay aiming for your bone in your butt, because that's your hip socket, yeah? If you're looking at the back, the top of my big toe knuckle is definitely on the mat. Yeah, I'm not here, definitely not here or there. It's on top of the foot. Okay. All right. Let's come back here. See about king pigeon. Same thing is true here. Remember, we might just be grabbing our pants, but you're trying to pull that heel towards its butt, not towards the temptation is to pull it forward. Pull it right towards its own butt socket. Breathe in that pose. Check. Really lean it forward, opening up that back hip, and then start to think about, how do I get my tailbone to come with me? And you might return to down again, and then that shin's going to be next to the floor. And find your upper arm and lift up and spiral, opening that back hip. This is an excellent bus stop A. Squeezing those legs into the earth for balance and support. Squeezing into the earth. Fall out of it. Take a breath. All right, here's our next try. Last one for this one, then we're going to do one more, and then we'll relax, okay? All right, last try. Your mermaid of the day. King pigeon, mermaid. All right, take a break. Whew. All right, we're gonna come back up. Passing through Hanuman. Really let your torso dive. Stepping together. Wiggle your hips on the way back up. All right, so the way the titles all go together, we all know what pigeon is. We're pretty familiar with that. King pigeon is when we're sitting down with our hips trying to be on the floor, trying to be square but not, and both legs are bent, yeah? Mermaid is when we rock up and grab around behind with that arm bind. So what we're gonna do that's related to those things now is we're going to do king dancer, yeah? So in order to do that, we're gonna use our splitting action. We're gonna use our centering to help us have balance. We're going to also use support, not only into this standing leg. Remember I said we'd be coming back to this pose. So grab your right leg behind you. Remember, heel straight into your butt. You can totally hold on to a wall for this. Yeah? Hold on to a wall if you want. I'm gonna hold on to my ceiling while I talk, because talking and doing together is hard. I'm gonna center by pulling my thighs together. I'm gonna soften my standing leg for a second and let myself lean forward, yeah? Now I'm gonna use that action of tucking my belly underneath. Let me turn sideways. Yeah, I'm gonna use that action of tucking my belly underneath to really strengthen through my body. Yeah, and my leg is like, it's not behind the other leg at all yet, right? Okay, so I'm gonna support by pushing into my standing leg, and I'm gonna push this foot into my hand, and that's what makes my leg go up. Push the foot into the hand, and that's what makes the leg go up. Now, if you're feeling like you can release the wall, great. If you're out in space, you want your gaze and your hand to be reaching out to a drishti, a focus point that's out on an imaginary horizon. King dancer. Release, come up. Check in. How's your hips? How's your lower back? Respect. Yeah, it's a lot of torque on the pelvis. Let's try the other side. You're gonna find this heel to its own hip socket. Remember, we don't want to be twisting, and that definitely happens as we move along. Feel your hip socket opening even now. We're gonna let ourselves teeter-totter forward like we're going into a warrior three, and we're gonna bring our tailbone back underneath ourselves. And the way the leg rises in the back is by pushing the foot into the hand. Yes. Come on out. We're going to try a couple more times. One more time each side. That's it. Drishti, focal point, way out in the front. Trying to keep hips square, but they don't necessarily stay square in this one. It's more like a negotiation. So I can get my leg much higher if I'm open, but I'm not as stable. So I'm going to re-square as much as I can and try and bring those two things together. So I'm trying to point my knee down to the earth instead of to the side. Bring it out. Good, guys. Last one. All right, it's time to lie down. Go ahead and drop your head to your feet. Feel your back opening up. So much work in that one in your lower back. So let's come on down gently. And start with your knees to your chest before you go into full shavasana. Find a soft song. Just holding those knees into your chest, which will massage your hip flexors over your hip bones and lengthen your lower back. Let your tailbone curl up. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. And once you feel like your back is nice and long, keep those knees together, but open your feet apart and let your feet come to the floor and your thighs fall together. And let's rest here. Slowing our breath. Big breath. Listening to your inhale and your exhale. Listening to the sensations in your joints. Allowing your lower back to melt into the mat. And thinking of your breath as soothing, like a big fluffy cloud blanket that you're just letting float down across your body. If you feel it's time to lengthen your legs, you may, but if you're comfortable where you are, stay in that comfort. Practicing that comfort without needing to fix. Letting go of the urge to change. Letting change happen. Starting to come back to your body. Give it some gentle wiggles. And when you're ready, bend a knee and roll to your side. And gently come back up. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you had a good challenge and a good hip opening, and enjoy the rest of your week.